Next, let's look at determining a strategy. In determining a strategy, some of the things that you'll consider are whether to go into flipping houses, or if you want to get into renovation and rehabbing, you would look at whether you want to do some long-term holds, new construction. You think about whether or not you would like to go into speculation, and you always have to look at your cash flow. One of the best ways to go and buy properties is to find the cheapest house in the best neighborhood. This is a great way of finding value. You find a house in a good neighborhood, especially one that's going up in value, and if the house is worth maybe $100,000, or you can buy it for $100,000, and the other houses in the neighborhood are selling for $150,000, $60,000 on up, a lot of times you can buy that particular house, do a little work on it, and hold it for some time, and raise the value considerably. You want to look at your cash flow, in particular with long-term hold and flipping or wholesaling deals also. Let's add wholesaling here. And this is because you always have to consider your cash flow. When you're doing deals, there are a number of factors that determine how many deals you'll do. You can possibly find someone with pockets so deep that you could buy all the properties that you want. But that very seldom happens. And usually when it does, we find that the people who start buying the properties usually get into trouble because they'll be buying the wrong properties and usually paying too much for them. It's best to sit back and find the deals that are really good deals before you get into them. Always keep in mind with your cash flow, having a combination of short-term deals where you basically either wholesale it, you buy it, fix it up a little, and flip it and get your cash out of it that way. And while you're doing that, on some of the deals you'll hold on to. The only way to really get rich in real estate is by buying and holding on properties. On long-term hold, some of the strategies for your long-term holds are partnering with other people, so that way if you have a partner on the deal, you have someone who offset the cash flow problems that might occur if you have a vacancy or if something else catastrophic happens with the property. The contract for deed is a great one that we like to use, and the contract for deed and lease option go hand in hand. If you're the seller of a property and you do it through a lease option, some of the advantages are you get a nice bit of cash at the beginning to help offset any vacancy that you may have later on the property. If the property does sell when the person exercises their option, the sales price that you have on it initially is usually about 5%, sometimes as much as 10% above what the retail price of the property was at the time you entered the lease option with the optionor. And I say it goes hand in hand with contract for deed because if you sell a property on a contract for deed, you still hold on to the deed until they actually pay for the property and satisfy the terms of the contract for them to receive the deed. I like both of these options because, as I said, you get money up front and the person treats the property as if it is theirs, and you're giving that person an opportunity to become a homeowner. Most of the times when you have a lease option or contract for deed, you don't even have to have the property managed because you can set it up where the tenant or the person in the house pays on time and the money goes directly to pay the mortgage on that property. And when I say they pay on time, there are ways that you have to get them to pay on time. The way that we like to do it is to have the money actually drafted from their checking account monthly. One of the advantages for that person who is doing a lease option, generally after 12 months of on-time payments, the mortgage company will treat it not as a purchase, but as a refinance, which helps them get better credit terms, and it's easier to get the loan. Another option here is to actually rent the property. Anytime we rent a property, we have a property manager. The first time you do this, it's best to rent your own properties for the first year or so that you can get a really good feel for the correct way to do it. We also have Occupy here. One great technique that I like, especially for maybe a young couple who's just getting started, is to find a good fourplex or a triplex in an up-and-coming neighborhood to purchase that. And as long as it's no more than 4 units, you can get an owner-occupied loan. You purchase it, fix one of the units up nice for yourself to live in, and you rent out the other 3 units. With the favorable way that the government treats sales of owner-occupied property, you could buy the house or buy the fourplex, live in it for 2 years, and when you sell the property, all of the profits that you make on the sale of the house or the fourplex are tax-free because of the favorable IRS tax laws. But keep in mind, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA. Check with your CPA or tax accountant, but I got this information from IRS publication 523, Selling Your Home. But as I said, it's up to you to check on this information for yourself. That's a great way to get off to a good start.